What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, and today we have to have an honest and a frank conversation about one of the last and best hopes for American motorcycling, American sport bikes, and that is Buell Motorcycle Company. So many people out there are like, the Super Cruiser, it's coming, it's gonna be the perfect thing in the world, it's gonna be your kind of motorcycle, and they've got the Hammerhead, which is basically the second coming of the RC8R. It's big V-twins, it's a lot of torque, it's a bunch of sport. It should be right up your alley, right? Why don't you talk about them? Well, guys, I'm not entirely convinced that this modern incarnation of Buell isn't just vaporware. Let's get on the road and let's talk about it.
Alright guys, real quick before we hit the road, I do want to take a second and shout out the sponsor for today's video, Flying Eyes. They make the best sunglasses for your ride because they have these really flexible stems, which mean that they fit really comfortably between your head and your helmet, so there's no pressure points. This is the best pair of sunglasses you can get while you're out on your motorcycle. It's better than getting a tinted visor, and the best part about these guys is you can try them on with their try-on kit. For $40, you get to try out 4 different lens styles, get the one that you like the most, and then you can send it back, and that $40 gets credited to when you actually buy a pair of sunglasses. And you can use the code SC10 for 10% off your order, including that 40% or that $40 credit to those sunglasses. So you can get them real nice and cheap. Click that link down in the description below and try them out for yourself. I promise, once you try them, there's no going back. And with that said, it is now time to talk about Buell. Now, this is liable to annoy some people, perhaps irritate, perhaps enrage some people, and that is not my intention here. Let me say that right out of the gate. I actually want Buell to succeed because, you know, we live in a world where the only way to improve the product of one company is to have another compete with it. And specifically, I'm looking at Harley-Davidson because Harley-Davidson used to be the Buell people. You used to be able to get some really cool Buell bikes from Harley that were the sporty offerings, and now Harley-Davidson does not want to engage in sporty offerings, and that annoys me to no end because sport bikes are sweet. And I think the biggest annoyance is the proof that Harley-Davidson can do it. I mean, they built the Pan America, and the Pan Am's awesome. So why can't they build the Bronx? Well, I think that if Buell can really pick itself up and really get the job done and start muscling in on the cruiser market and the ADV market, it's going to push Harley to really start competing more here at home and bring out some different models. So I really want Buell to succeed. Not only do I want them because they're good competition for Harley-Davidson, but I want them because Buell is an awesome American motorcycle story. You know, he used to work for Harley-Davidson, went and did his own thing, made some really sweet motorcycles, and, you know, he just won't, the Buell name will not die, and I love that. Now, a little bit of background about modern Buell. Eric Buell, the guy who started it, is not there anymore. He's often credited as being an amazing engineer, but a horrible businessman. And so, in theory, by having a lot of the Buell knowledge and know-how and the lineage in the modern motorcycles, they can learn from what he's done and have their own engineering team pick up the torch, but they don't have to worry about Buell kind of running the business into the ground. Or at least that's the story that I've heard. I'm not entirely sure that that's 100% accurate, but that's the story that I've been told. A lot of it sounds like when Buell was at Harley-Davidson, they basically were pushing for him to fail, which kind of sucks. And then on his own, it just seemed like EBR was never really viable. And Eric Buell nowadays, he's actually got his own electric bike company now called Fuel. which is kind of ironic because electric bikes don't have fuel. They have electrons. And it seems like that would be a really cool transition for Buell, and I'm really interested to see what he does. But modern Buell is now its own thing, and I would argue without any shadow of doubt that the flagship bike for Buell now is the Super Cruiser. We've all seen that one prototype that they have of the Super Cruiser that was designed in conjunction with Roland Sands with that awesome SC project. It looks like a stripped back California style Dyna. It looks awesome, and it's got like 185 horsepower and 100 and something foot-pounds of torque out of an 1190 liquid-cooled V-twin. This thing is a beastly motor, and I would love to have a performance cruiser option out there. And I know it's probably going to cost between $20,000 and $30,000, but you know, it's a boutique bike. There's no world in which, you know, a small company like Buell is now is gonna make, you know, an affordable beginner bike. These are all gonna be made to order and all of that good stuff. But they don't just have the Super Cruiser. They've got a couple of other bikes. They've got the Super Touring. They've got the 1190 and the Hammerhead 1190 and the 1190X. I don't remember. Basically, it's a Super Sport and then a Hyper Naked, both with the same 1190 V-twin that's 185 horse and like 102 foot-pounds of torque. Very similar motors that you're seeing in a couple of these bikes. And they also have the Dune Racer, I think is what it's called. It's the Super Dune Racer or whatever, because Buell really likes to use the word super. But yeah, it's this wild 1190cc powered dirt bike with a long swing arm, and you know, the pictures on the website are of it jumping through the air and stuff. Now, all that is really, really cool, and some good news is I was looking on their website, and they are taking orders for the 1190 Hammerhead. It starts at $19,995 and taps out at like just under $25,000, which for a top shelf leader bike is actually not that bad, especially ones that are made to order. You know, Ducatis easily run that, and you could just go buy them at a dealership. There's, you know, a little bit of bespoke nature to a Ducati, but this is a made-to-order motorcycle, you know, and it's built here in the States. I'm pretty sure they're based out of Michigan, if I remember correctly. Other bikes in the lineup are hitting the expected in 2024 or expected in 2025. So they have a lot of bikes that are theoretically right around the corner. But I also remember when the Super Cruiser was expected in 2023 and 2024. And now it's 2025. And I come at this from a gaming background where I see a lot of, you know, game development companies promise the world, and then they're like, oh, yeah, that awesome game that we're working on, yeah, it's going to get delayed by a couple of months. Darn it, we run out of cash, so we need to do another round of Series A. Let's do a Kickstarter. Oh shoot, you know what? We need to do this again in. We need to push the release date to 2024. Ah, dang it! We needed a new studio, so that's going to push the release date to 2025. And then suddenly, nobody knows where the cash went, and there's nothing for your money. Now, a lot of those gaming companies are just straight up scams. Like you have that, what was the one that just happened on Steam? It was like day one or the day after, or no, it was the day before. The day before. That was supposed to be this amazing game, and everybody got super excited, and it generated a lot of cash. And then it just disappeared into the nether, and then eventually the developer just squirted out some game that was just a bunch of assets they pulled from the store. Now, I'm not saying that Buell is doing that. I'm not saying they're doing that at all. But what I'm saying is you need to have this sort of healthy skepticism. And the reason why I say that is because you're very, very unlikely to ever see a Buell Super Cruiser on the road. I'm sorry, but you're very unlikely to ever see one. And if you go on their website, it costs $50 to pre-order one of these bikes. It is a fully refundable deposit, and that deposit gets you in line to make a deposit later on. So you're giving them $50 for the privilege of being one of the first people to give them a real deposit of probably thousands of dollars later on. That's rough bubbles to me, man. I would not give anybody any money to pre-order the option to pre-order or something. That just doesn't seem like a healthy way for a business to be generating revenue right now. I would much rather see nowadays Buell basically just being like, hey, we're looking for investors in the company. You want to share in this later on? You want to potentially earn a piece of this or own a piece of the company? I would actually invest in that. You know, if I could own for $1,000 a percentage of modern Buell, I'd kick him $1,000. I would expect to lose all that money later, but that seems like a better way to be a part of that. I would jump in on the ground floor. I'd want to be a shareholder. That would be really cool because it's that American icon versus instead getting these like little drips and drabs of $50 here, $50 there, and suddenly Steve in Des Moines pulled his pre-order, so we're short $50. I'd rather just have $1,000 invested into the company under the assumption that, hey, I could lose all this money and Buell could go belly up, but it will potentially return something later on. That would be valuable. And I think that because Buell is a smaller company right now, they probably just don't want to do that. But I would see that as a more secure way of them actually raising capital. Now, here's some things that I think I can say that are going to potentially set some people at ease here, walk people off the edge. If you've got a pre-order down or a pre-order for your pre-order down and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should cancel it now, here's a reason why you shouldn't. So Roland Sands got in to help them design this bike, and RSD is a big deal in the cruiser world. You may be just here for the sport bikes, and so you might not be super familiar with Roland Sands, but Roland is a very high-priced aftermarket cruiser-centered brand. They Roland specifically does not mess around. And I don't think that he would have put his name on this bike under the assumption that, yeah, it's probably never coming out. Here's another thing that I would caution you on. I would not be surprised if by the time we start hearing the actual specs come out, or we start seeing the real Buell Super Cruiser, that it looks maybe kind of like the concept that we have now, or the prototype that we have now. And I would not be surprised if it's making a little bit less power, because a lot of stuff gets walked back, and I'm sitting on a prime example of that. So when Aprilia first announced the RS660, they were like, yeah, this thing's gonna come out and it's gonna weigh like 360 pounds fully fueled. And everybody was like, that is unbelievable. No, literally, I don't believe you. And Aprilia kept saying it. They were like, no, this thing is that light. It's just gonna be that light. and everybody who doubts can shut up. And then it comes out and it's actually like 400 pounds. Now, that's still a really light motorcycle. This is still a very, very light bike. But 40 pounds is a huge deal when you're talking about 360 versus 402 or whatever. So all of the hype that is out there surrounding stuff like the Super Cruiser or the Super Tourer or any of the Buell brand, I would just urge caution. And if you decide to put any money into Buell, expect to never have that money see the light of day. There's any number of factors that could turn this from a promising motorcycle endeavor into a pipe dream that never comes out. More startups fail than succeed. That's just the case. And right now, Buell is a startup. And I would just like to say here at the end that shame on Harley Davidson for making Buell the sole answer to the American sport bike. Shame on you, Harley. If you wanted to, you could make the first real American sport bike that, it sees mass production, that shows up on a dealership floor. You could do that. And I know that if you did, and you did what you did with the Pan America, and you sat and you really thought, and you made this competitive motorcycle, that people would flock to it. Everybody in my comments section is hungry for something from the motor company. Something new, something unique. It's why Pan America coverage does so great for me. The Pan Am video's got like 120,000 views right now. Why? Because it's different. It's not just the same old, same old. Rot out the freaking 975 Sportster, man. Just take the Nightster and do something cool with it. I don't know. Turn it into a scrambler. Just get off your ass and give us an American sport bike. Is that so hard? I know it's actually really hard. I know it's really, really difficult. But I'm passionate about this, damn it. I'm very passionate. Harley's my home team. I started on a Harley. I've had two of them. Two Harleys that nobody likes but me. And they're awesome. They were both great. And they were both unceremoniously taken out back of the shed and shot in the back of the head like Old Yeller. It shouldn't be incumbent on a startup to give us the American sport bike experience. It just shouldn't be the case. And with that one, guys, I'm going to end this rant right here. Let me know what your thoughts are on Buell, and are you interested in buying one of these bikes? Do you have a deposit down on a Super Cruiser, or do you have your deposit to get a deposit on a Super Cruiser? It's only $50, so I bet you a lot of folks who were sitting at their computer with a beer in their hand late at night were like, yeah, sure, have $50, I'll buy that bike when it comes out in 2025. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.